So what are you doing right now?
Measuring out my pre-workout meal. It's going to be steak and rice.
And how many ounces?
Usually 8, but this is 7. It's good enough because I just ate not long ago. So I typically have between anywhere between 7 to 10 ounces of protein per meal, depending. Like this one was 7, so the next one will probably be 9. But I usually average out about 8.5 ounces per meal. So.
And how many meals per day?
Right now, 5. But when my real off season starts, I'm eating 6 meals, 6 times a day. It's super important for me to be on top of that because it's funny. The more I'm eating, and the more of a rhythm my metabolism gets in, the hungrier I get and the faster I grow. So some people think eating bigger and smaller is beneficial, but for myself and for most people, once you get that metabolism going, it'll actually help get you tighter and help with more muscle mass because you're continuously feeding. It's just habit. I like to have a good amount of carbs before I train, especially on back or leg day. Seeing as today is back day, we're going to have heaping 2 cups of rice before I train. So this right here is actually all my heart medication. Aspirin, prevents heart attack. It's good for thinning out the blood. And then I have my candesartan, my metoprolol, or however you pronounce it, Uplernon, and furosemide. I'm acting like I actually know what any of this stuff is. I really only know what the candesartan does. It helps with the heart regulation side. But yeah, I've been on that since February, and hopefully I'll be getting off my next checkup, which is early January. So
what's your plans with the lockdown?
I'm obviously going to continue training. I continued training during the first lockdown. Mind you, I was driving about 3 hours a day in order to do so, but you got to get the job done. You got to get the training in. Where am I going to be training? That I can't answer yet. I'm not sure, but I'll be training. That's not a question. Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy Mike Wheels here for episode 3. I'm going to be training back and calves. I'm actually going to be walking you through step by step throughout this whole back workout. So make sure you guys watch it, and please make sure to like and subscribe. Okay guys, so first and foremost, the first thing I'm doing when I walk in the gym, other than sipping on my pre-workout, is stretching. Stretching to me makes a massive difference and could possibly prevent an injury for that workout, especially when you're training intense and you're going to be doing a lot of compound movements for that body part. So whether it be me training my back, I'm making sure I'm stretching, yes, my hamstrings and my legs, because guess what? You're going to be stretching those out when you're hitting, your heavy bent over barbell rows. So it is super important to make sure you bring mobility to every body part, especially the joints that you may be having issues with, such as myself. My right shoulder, my right elbow got operated on, so you better believe every time I go in, even if I'm training lower body, I got to bring mobility to those areas. Because remember, the more you work on the areas that are stubborn, the more mobility and range of motion you will get back. And when you're lifting heavy, having tense joints or tendons will possibly bring injury, which you guys really want to make sure you're avoiding. So after my warm-ups, I make sure I usually do at least 2-set warm-up, especially if it's my first exercise, I'm going heavy. I did a 1 plate warming up, stretching, getting in that good range of motion. Then I did the 2 plates, feeling it, squeezing a little more, really focus on the stretching and the contracting, getting all the muscle fibers firing. And then I start with my first working set, which I got here, my 3 plates and a 25. So for this one, I'm doing 2 working sets. This first working set it's tough, but it's not my max. I'm not maxing out yet. That would be with the 4 plates. But with this one, as you can see, it's a little bit tough, but again, building my way up to my heaviest for this exercise. And getting out as many reps as I can. Usually not above 12 when it's my working set. And then shit starts getting heavy here. So I got to take off the jacket. You guys know what it is. Strapping up the Mike Wheels belt. Getting ready for war. So I got 4 plates on here. This has been my max, actually. I'm pretty sure it's been the heaviest I've done for this movement so far. To be honest with you, the great atmosphere in the gym helps me a lot. Loud music, bright lights, great vibe. So that really helps when it's time for the heavy lifting. So again, really focusing on my form. You may notice as the heavier you go, you can't be as stiff, and in order to get through sticky movements, your body's gonna kind of flow with it. So you can see as I'm pulling down with my arms, I'm pulling my chest up, and things are just being a lot more fluent with the body. A lot of times you see guys lifting really heavy and they have to allow the body to move with the weight. Some people consider it cheating, but when you're at that level, you really know it's not, especially when you feel the muscle fibers firing for that muscle that you're intending to hit. So keeping a good range of motion is super important, but make sure you roll with the movement and you're not staying really stiff because, again, you're not trying to pull anything. So first exercise of my heavy compound for back for this day was dumbbell rows. It's one of my favorite. I like to alternate between doing dumbbell row and barbell row. So you can see here, I'm just kind of playing with the weights. I started off with the 110 as a warm-up, of course, and then I move on to the 130. These are my 2 warm-ups. I usually do warm-ups for most of the exercises I'm doing. But the further along I go, and after the compound movements for the isolation ones, I may not always do a warm-up if I don't feel it's necessary. But seeing as I usually do my heavy compounds closer to the beginning of the workout, I definitely get my warm-up in. Again, I did a heavy exercise already, so I got the reverse grip hammer pull down under my belt. So now I got, the bent over dumbbell rows here, still filling it out. I got the 130s, just really connecting, making sure I'm limber. In between the clips here, I was actually stretching my hamstrings and lower back to make sure I was limber and feeling very mobile. Making sure that, I knew there was a high chance of me that I would not be getting injured doing these exercises. So this is my first working set, my first of 2. I got the 180 dumbbell rows that I was taking for a ride. Yes, I made a big jump from the 130 to 180. I felt during my warm-ups, things were just firing, and it was a good day for me. I just felt like, given that I'm even natural, I still felt, my strength was there that day. I got an extra meal in. We actually train later on this day, which is why I tend to train later. I like getting as many meals in me as possible to really help with that power and that strength. So, still here with the 180s. Now, usually between my first and second working set, seeing as the second working set is my max for that exercise, and it's the one I'm going balls to the walls, I really make sure I, take a drink, whatever is coconut water or just my water, and I focus and really just get my breaths in. Honestly, this weight moved pretty good. I usually don't lift this heavy until I'm like full-fledged off season. But again, I walked in there, and guys, every workout's going to be different. Don't go in there thinking every workout you're going to be lifting your max. As much as we want that to happen, it's not realistic. Some workouts you're going to be stronger than others. So in that situation, you just kind of got to step back and just take that workout for what it is and maybe incorporate more drop sets or supersets. As long as you're squeezing and you're getting that good stretch in, you're going to be getting max blood flow to that muscle, which will help, again, with muscle hypertrophy. And at the end of the day, being bodybuilders, that's the goal. It doesn't revolve so much around the weight. Again, we're not power lifters. So just because you're lifting a certain weight, it doesn't necessarily mean you're gaining muscle anyway. So it's good to hit things differently from different angles with different rep ranges, different breaks between each set, and really taking each workout for what it is, and it's going to be different all the time. So I feel like that's what really makes a well-rounded bodybuilder, is understanding and knowing that, and walking in the gym and really just dealing with things one set one rep and one exercise at a time. Reverse grip Smith row. I love this exercise because this is one that really helps hit lower lats, especially when you're performing it in a way where as you come down, you're kind of shifting your hips back. So you're getting that stretch. And as you pull up, you're actually thrusting your hips forward. So at the end of the movement, at the top of the movement, you actually are trying to bury it underneath your belly, but your upper body is hovering over the bar. So when it's a fluid motion, you're actually able to stretch at the bottom, come up, and squeeze. And the reason you're hovering over the bar is because you're really trying to target that lower lat region. So you can see after my first two warm-up exercises, I'm getting my stretching in before the first working set starts. Again, I stretch honestly throughout the whole workout, in between sets, before, after training, always trying to avoid injury and stay as limber as I can. So you can see here again, stretching at the bottom, pulling back, and at the top of the movement, I'm pulling my body forward and I'm allowing the bar to tuck underneath my belt and squeezing the lower lat region. Okay, here we are. Second and final working set. Doing 3 plates. And again, guys, don't compare weight because every machine is different. You might be at a gym where 3 plates is really sticky. I'm training here at Athletic Culture and all the machines are brand new. So this Smith was very, very smooth. So I was able to do 3 plates, but I know at other gyms I might not be able to do 3 plates because the Smith press are really sticky. So make sure you keep that in mind. You're training at different gyms. Don't always expect to be lifting the same amount of weight because the benches might be different, the Smith press, so on and so forth. And you can see as the weight gets heavier, you're being more over dramatic with your range of motion to really accompany the weight and make sure that you're getting the full stretch at the bottom, and at the top you're getting that full squeeze, and make sure that at that point the targeted area is just on fire, so the lower lat should be really, really pumped by this point. So my fourth back exercise is upright hammer row. This is targeting more so the upper traps. It's getting some rhomboid. Just trying to go for that, fuller upper back look, seeing as a lot of the exercises we did have been hitting mid to lower back. With this exercise, at this point, being the fourth exercise, the heavy movements are out of the way. A lot of blood is pumping in the back. I'm fully warmed up here. I don't need to be doing any warm-up sets. Like I mentioned before, at this point of the workout, it's just about the stretch and the squeeze. Even the weight, it's not heavy by any means. But I'm getting a great range of motion and I'm getting a good squeeze and I'm just getting a really good mental contraction with the weights. So I actually did both my working sets with the same weight here. I'm starting to burn out, obviously, exercise 4. So again, moving the weight well, getting a good contraction and just focusing on feeling the back, opening and squeezing. The weight, honestly, at this point is actually irrelevant. Exercise number 5 is close grip pull down. Depending how you actually move this exercise, if you actually decide to roll your shoulders more back than what I'm doing and lift your chest up and kind of rock back, you'll actually hit more of the lower lats. But the way I'm hitting it here, I was actually looking to hit more of the mid to lower traps, the rhomboids. Yes, of course, I'm also hitting my post delts, which is always nice to get a good pump especially when you're training that upper back. I feel like it's just a side effect. Also, the same way your biceps are going to get hit. It's just the motion of the movement, really. But as well, I'm trying to hit the teres minor, and I will be hitting some lat on the side, but I would be hitting more lat if I wanted to pull my chest up more, pull back, and then get that handle grip really to the bottom of my pecs. If I was looking for the lower lat with this specific exercise, which I was not. I was actually trying to hit more upper back. On me, the upper back isn't as big as I want it and as thick. So I make sure to always throw in a couple of those for every back day. This is exercise 6, I believe. This is a rope pull down. And this is exercise I'm actually trying to hit more lower lats. I usually use this exercise to try to open up my lats as best as I can, especially when you're doing this exercise more towards the end of your training session. There's already a lot of blood in there. The heavy movements are out of the way, and this is more just to open my lats up as much as I can. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy, no crazy heavy weight. And I do, again, 2 working sets for this movement. So this is exercise number 7. It's my last back movement. I'm doing 2 sets of close grip machine T-bar rows. Again, not about weight at all at this point, just stretching and squeezing. I'm trying to put as much blood as I can in the weak areas, and again, upper to mid back are my weaker back areas, I think. So I make sure I get a good stretch and squeeze in movements targeting those muscle groups in order to fill them out as best as I can. So after back, I move on to traps. I actually used to do traps on a shoulder day, but honestly, I noticed a lot more growth in my traps when I started doing it at the end of a back day. So I've been sticking with that lately. So I do 2 working sets here. I do barbell shrugs in the front and then behind the back barbell shrugs. In the front, I find you're really targeting more the upper trap, and in the front, you are hitting more the front trap. So I feel from the back, again, as you can see in this motion here, that I'm getting almost a better contraction, but again, it's creating a different dynamic, a different look, which is why I don't just hit the behind the back shrugs, because again, when you're pulling from the front, you're kind of hitting a little bit of a different angle of the trap to give a more fuller look when you're looking straight on, which is important for front lat spreads, and also if you like doing your crab most musculars, that's, your traps in that front region are super important to get as big and full as you can to hopefully match those big ass delts as well. Okay, then after the back and traps, I moved on to a good calf pump. One of my favorite machines for that, luckily to have that at AK, is the donkey calf raise. This is great because the angle you're at, especially when you're coming down to the bottom of the movement, you're stretching every muscle in your calf, and it gives you the best pump when you're able to get that full contraction at the top. I also start to do mini pumps to just fuel as much blood in there as possible. As you could see, based on the other exercise I did for my back, I'm big with stretching. Well, for my calves, I'm even more so big on stretching. Because you're always walking on your feet, to get calf growth is going to take a lot more for that reason. You're always on them, you're walking on your calves, so to get that true growth, you really have to emphasize the stretching and the squeezing and pulling as much blood into the calves as possible. So again, nothing really crazy heavy here, just good stretching and squeezing. For my second exercise, I jumped into seated calf raise. What's really unique about this machine, it's not a standard calf raise, and I know most of you guys won't have this machine at your gyms unless you go to AK, but you can see the way I position my toes, and on this platform, when you push down on your toes, the platform is coming down, and you could actually get a really good squeeze on this. It's much different than a lot of the other standard seated calf raising machines that does not have a moving platform on it. So if you guys happen to go to AK, I highly recommend you not only check out all the other great machines, but if you're hitting calves, this is a must hit. Please make sure you guys like it and subscribe.